Did you know that nearly 30% of men over 70 in America live completely alone? When most people hear this, they picture sadness. They imagine a lonely old man sitting in a dark room, waiting for the phone to ring. But here's the truth that nobody talks about. Many of these men are not suffering. They are not broken. In fact, some of them are living the most peaceful years of their entire lives. I know this might sound strange. Society tells us that being alone means being lonely. But after talking to hundreds of seniors and looking at what research actually shows, the picture is very different. In this video, we are going to talk about 5 surprising truths about older men who live alone without a partner. These truths will change how you see aging, solitude, and what real happiness looks like after 70. Stay with me until the end, because the last truth is something that most families completely misunderstand. And it could change how you treat the older men in your own life. These are not guesses or opinions. They come from real patterns that doctors, psychologists, and researchers have studied for years. They also come from the lived experiences of real men who have found peace in their later years. By the end of this video, you will understand why some older men choose to live alone. You will know the difference between healthy solitude and harmful loneliness. And you will have a new respect for the quiet strength that many senior men carry. Truth number 1. They are not lonely. They are selective. Here is something most people do not understand. There is a big difference between being alone and being lonely. After 70 years of life, many men have experienced it all. They have had marriages, friendships, work relationships, and family drama. They have spent decades meeting the needs of others. They have compromised, adjusted, and sacrificed. Now, for the first time in their lives, they get to choose. And many of them choose peace over noise. They choose meaningful connection over constant company. Think about 2 men. Harold is 74 years old. He lives alone in a small house. Every morning he makes coffee, reads the paper, and takes a walk around the neighborhood. He calls his daughter once a week. He meets his old friend George for lunch on Saturdays. The rest of the time, he enjoys his garden, his books, and his quiet routine. Then there is Vincent, also 74. Vincent has people around him all the time. His house is always full of visitors. But Vincent feels empty inside. He smiles and nods, but he feels like nobody really knows him. He is surrounded by people, yet he has never felt more alone. Harold is alone. Vincent is lonely. They are not the same thing. Research shows that older adults who choose their own level of social contact have better mental health than those who feel forced into constant interaction. Quality matters more than quantity. The good news is this. If you are an older man who enjoys your own company, that is not a weakness. It is wisdom. You have learned what feeds your soul and what drains it. Ask yourself this. When you spend time alone, do you feel peaceful or empty? Your answer tells you everything. If you are still watching this video and finding these truths valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. And if you have not subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you do not miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let us move forward. Truth number 2, living alone can mean living healthier. This truth surprises many families. They worry that dad or grandpa living alone will stop taking care of himself. They picture dirty dishes, missed medications, and unhealthy eating. But here is what research actually shows. Many older men who live alone develop stronger self-care routines than they had when living with others. Why? Because when you live alone, you cannot hide from yourself. You cannot rely on someone else to remind you to eat well or take your pills. You must take full responsibility. Think about Frank, a 76-year-old widower. When his wife was alive, she handled all the cooking and health appointments. After she passed, his family was scared. They thought he would fall apart. But Frank did something surprising. He bought a simple cookbook. He started making his own meals. He set alarms for his medications. He began walking every evening because the house felt too quiet. 3 years later, Frank had lost 15 pounds. His blood pressure was better than it had been in a decade. His doctor was amazed. Now think about Richard, also 76. Richard lives with his adult son and daughter-in-law. They cook for him, clean for him, and manage his pills. Richard has become passive. He sits in his chair most of the day. He has gained weight. He feels like a burden. Frank took control. Richard gave it away. Studies show that seniors who maintain independence and personal responsibility tend to have better cognitive function and physical health. Taking care of yourself keeps your mind sharp and your body active. The good news is this: if you are an older man living alone, your independence is not a problem. It can be a gift. Use it to build routines that support your health. Can you honestly say you are taking better care of yourself now than you did 10 years ago? If not, what small change could you make today? Truth number 3, they have not given up on love. Love just looks different now. When families see an older man living without a partner, they often assume he is missing out on love. They think he must be sad about being single. They might even try to set him up on dates. But many older men have not rejected love. They have simply redefined it. After decades of romantic relationships, some men realize that love does not have to mean marriage or living together. Love can be a weekly phone call with a grandchild. Love can be feeding birds in the backyard. Love can be helping a neighbor fix their fence. Consider George, an 80-year-old man who has been single for 12 years since his wife passed. His daughter keeps asking if he wants to date again. George always says no, but George is not without love. Every Sunday, he calls his 3 grandchildren. Every Tuesday, he volunteers at the local food bank. Every day, he spends time with his dog, Max, who has been his faithful companion for 9 years. George feels more loved now than he did in some of his earlier relationships. The love is quieter, but it is deeper. Compare this to Norman, 79, who rushed into a new relationship after his wife died because he was afraid of being alone. Norman and his new partner argue constantly. He feels trapped in something that does not fit. He thought partnership would cure his loneliness, but it made things worse. Psychology shows that emotional fulfillment does not require romance. Strong connections with family, friends, pets, and community can provide the same sense of belonging. The good news is that love has no age limit and no single shape. If you are an older man living alone, you can still have a life full of love. It just might not look like what society expects. Think about this. Where does love show up in your daily life? You might have more of it than you realize. If you are learning something new in this video, please comment number 2 below. And if someone you care about is an older man living alone, share this video with them. It might help them feel understood. Now let us continue with truth number 4. Truth number 4, they have more control over their daily lives. One of the biggest fears for aging adults is losing control. Losing control over their bodies, losing control over their decisions, losing control over how they spend their days. Here is something powerful. Older men who live alone often have more control over their lives than those who live with others. When you live alone, you decide when to wake up. You decide what to eat and when to eat it. You decide whether today is a busy day or a quiet one. You do not have to ask permission. You do not have to compromise. This sense of control is not small. While research shows that feeling in control of your daily life is one of the strongest predictors of happiness and health in older adults. Think about Walter, 78. Walter lives alone in a small apartment. Every day he follows his own routine. He eats breakfast at 7. He does his crossword puzzle at 8. He takes a nap at noon if he wants to. His days are simple, but they are his. Walter says, "I spent 50 years on someone else's schedule, at work, at home. Now my time belongs to me." Compare this to Eugene, 77. Eugene moved in with his daughter's family to avoid living alone. But now Eugene feels like a guest in someone else's house. Dinner is at 6, even though Eugene prefers to eat later. The TV shows what the kids want to watch. Eugene's routine has disappeared. He feels lost. Walter has control. Eugene has company but no control. So Walter is happier. The good news is that independence in later life can protect your mental health. If you live alone, use your freedom wisely. Build a routine that brings you joy. Here is a question for you. Do you feel in control of your daily life? If not, what is one thing you could change to get some of that control back? Truth number 5, peace is not the same as giving up. This is the truth that families struggle with the most. When they see an older man living quietly alone, they worry. They think he has given up. They think he is just waiting to die. But for many older men, choosing peace is not surrender. It is victory. After decades of stress, conflict, drama, and noise, these men have finally found what they were looking for all along. A calm life, a simple life, a life where they do not have to prove anything to anyone. Think about Robert, 82. Robert's family used to worry about him constantly. He lived alone in a cabin outside of town. He did not go out much. He did not have a busy social calendar. But when they visited Robert, they found something unexpected. Robert was happy. He read books. He listened to music. He watched the sun set from his porch every evening. He told them, "I spent my whole life running. Now I finally get to sit still." Robert was not depressed. Robert was at peace. Compare this to Arthur, 81. Arthur could not stand being alone. He filled every moment with activity. He joined clubs, took trips, and always had plans. But Arthur was running from silence. Whenever things got quiet, he felt afraid. Arthur was busy, but he was not at peace. Robert embraced stillness. Arthur ran from it. Robert found contentment. Arthur found exhaustion. Research confirms that seniors who accept their life circumstances and find meaning in simple daily activities report higher levels of life satisfaction. Peace is not passive. It takes wisdom to find it. The good news is that choosing peace is a strength, not a weakness. If you are an older man who has found calm in your solitude, you have accomplished something that many people never achieve. Ask yourself this question. When you sit in silence, do you feel afraid or at rest? Your answer reveals a lot about where you are in life. Now that you know these 5 surprising truths, take a moment to reflect on what you have heard. We talked about how older men who live alone are often selective, not lonely. They choose quality over quantity. And we talked about how living alone can actually lead to better health habits and stronger self-care. We talked about how love changes shape as we age, and that connection does not require romance. We talked about the power of control and how managing your own daily life protects your happiness. And we talked about the difference between peace and giving up. True peace is a sign of wisdom, not defeat. The good news is that none of this is set in stone. If you are an older man struggling with isolation, you can reach out for support. If you are thriving in your solitude, you can feel proud of what you have built. And if you have an older man in your life who lives alone, maybe it is time to see him differently. Instead of worrying about his loneliness, ask him about his peace. You might be surprised by what he shares. Remember, the goal is not to avoid being alone. The goal is to be at peace with yourself, whether you have people around you or not. Thank you for joining us today. We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one truth from this video that surprised you, or tell us about an older man in your life who has found peace living alone. Your thoughts are important to us, so do not hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.